So this year, 2024, was my first time at the Great Eastern Cutlery Rendezvous. And in front of me here, I have my two knives that I picked up from the store at Great Eastern Cutlery. How Bill Howard has been doing it, at least the last like 2 years, like as far as I'm aware, um, is you show up. Um, some people apparently showed up on Sunday, like as in the Sunday before um, the rendezvous weekend, and waited the whole time until Friday, which I don't know how they had time to do that. I guess maybe burn some vacation days, or some of the people I think are retired. But I showed up Friday morning around six, a little after six, something like that. The door doesn't open until 7. And basically they hand out tickets based on when you showed up and everything, and I was number 57. And everybody's trying to get the rendezvous knives, which this year were an 86 Barlow and Abalone, or Abalone, depending on how you want to pronounce that, um, that I actually really wanted. And I wasn't expecting on wanting the rendezvous knives, but it was an 86 Barlow and the Abalone, like I said, which was awesome because I like Barlows, and I don't have a knife that's in abalone yet, but I really like the way it looks and everything. So I did kind of want that, but being number 57, I pretty much figured I wasn't going to get one, and I was correct in thinking that. And the other rendezvous knife was the newer 39 with the clip blade and spay blade, in dyed giraffe bone. And, they were all sorts of different colors and everything. And I think most of the people that went for Rendezvous Knife wanted the 39. However, I didn't really want a 39, so I figured I'd leave an extra 39 for somebody who really wanted a 39. Um, they were fairly expensive too, the 39s. I think they were like $230, something like that. So I didn't get one of them. Um, in front of me here are the two knives that I got from the store, from the Great Eastern Cutlery store. Um, when they draw your ticket, or when they call your number of your ticket, you go in and you get to buy two knives. And they have a couple cases set up and everything. So I went in and immediately saw the bullhide carver here in this green um, micarta here, green linen micarta, it looks like. OD green linen micarta. Saw this, and I wanted a bull hide carver when they came out, or obviously I would have loved to have Charlie's SFO, which was the CC Rider, or something like that. And that came in white bone and ebony. Gorgeous knife, but Charlie's SFOs are hard to get, and they're very expensive on the secondary market. So I did want a bullhide carver. I'm glad I didn't buy one off the secondary market, and I waited, because they had them at the store, and they had some different cover materials. They had an OD green micarta, which is what I went for. I think they had a couple. I think they had an acrylic of some kind. I don't remember. They had an orange, like synthetic, I guess like a Delrin kind of, and it looked like it was jigged. I saw some people grabbed those. They had I think a black micarta, and they had some of the red micarta left over and everything. But I went ahead and went for the OD green micarta here because I figured, it'll be different from the red micarta and everything, even though I like the red micarta. And there was apparently only 29 of these made for the rendezvous. He does these SFAs, I think he calls them, the special factory assemblies. Let me see if I can get my rag from over here, wipe this off a little bit. Does these special assemblies. I just noticed this one says 2023, so I don't know. Well, I guess it would have been made at the end of last year when the 86s came out, and he, probably just stamped it, put it away. But he he does some of these special factory assemblies for the rendezvous. he puts out some older knives, older like S knives and stuff out. There were some 44 gun stocks in the case, which I was tempted by. But like I said, this was the first knife I chose, and then the 29, which I'll talk about in a couple minutes here, was the second knife I ended up choosing. But you can see there the edge, the bull hide carver, green linen micarta, which is kind of hard to show. Of course, big clip blade, and then you got your punch secondary, which I did want because of Mr. Charlie Campagna talking about harness knives. So this is essentially a harness jack, um, and yeah, so you get a nice little punch there. Um, Very sharp for being a punch. Like this will certainly cut holes in leather, which is cool. Really good, a really strong backspring on the punch. You have to be kind of careful to not rip your fingernail off when you're opening that. Um, Only thing that I kind of wish was different was the shield on this, because I don't particularly love this shield, but I will live. But I will live with it. Not the end of the world or anything. But I'm really excited that I got one of these 86s with the punch and in a rather unique handle material. So I'm really happy about that. I'm going to put that off to the side now, and I'm going to talk about the 29, which is the other knife that I got. This was a 29. I think they were calling these the Stockyard Whittler when they came out in 2019. And you can see here on the tube, 29, and then it was made in 2019. This one's in Sandbar Stag, and it is again one of 29, just like the 86. So that's interesting. Stag handles, really like the show side here. Pile side, something that I didn't notice until I was sitting in the car later, is there's some super glue right there, which I thought was interesting. I assume they do this with some of their stuff, like when it cracks and stuff, but I'm surprised they didn't like buff that residue away. I don't really care because I mean, like I explained to my girlfriend, when I have cracks in my bones, that's what I do. I do the super glue thing. So I could try to smooth that out. I honestly don't know if I'm that worried about it because I am planning on carrying both of these knives, and the super glue will smooth out over time and everything. And I'm not that worried about it with it being a knife. And I'm just going to throw it in my pocket. Something that I do find interesting is with that super glue, this isn't marked an S knife. Now, this also isn't marked as like a special factory assembly. So I don't know if this was just an extra 29 they had laying around. And I think they did have some other 29s, like maybe one other handle material. So I find that a little interesting. I went with the Stag because, people like Stag. I like Stag. I don't like Stag as much as some people do. But I really wanted a 29, and I figured Stag was a good handle material for the 29. If you haven't seen Stockyard Whittler before, clip blade. This is in the Northfield trim, if you will. So super shiny blades. You got a clip blade main. Action on this one's it's not perfect. It's pretty good though. Like it's not amazing, but it's good enough. And it'll probably get a little bit better as I open and close it over time. But you get that clip point main, which is, these are a little smaller than I thought they were. I don't know how big I thought they were, but clip blade's about 2 5/8 maybe, 2 1/2, a little over 2 1/2, with a cutting edge of about 2 3/8, 2/8, 2/8. I don't know. Cutting edge somewhere just over 2 1/4. Whole knife closed. Let's see, here is right around 3 1/2. Right around 3 1/2, a little over 3 1/2. 3 ends. 3 5/8. We'll call it. It's about 3 5/8 closed. A clip blade that isn't huge or anything. Certainly big enough to do, most tasks and everything. Just over 2 1/2 inches. Clip blade does have a half stop. Action's a little gritty. I assume that'll get better. And then you have another punch blade. Both the knives that I got from the store have punch blades, which is interesting. And I really didn't think about it until I got back to the car, and I thought, oh, I got two knives with punch blades. The punch blade is about 2.25 inches long. And the punch blade also has a half stop, and the action on that's much better. And then the third blade is a sheep's foot blade, or a coping blade, depending on what you want to call it. And that's about 2.25 also, with a cutting edge of just over 2 inches. And again, pretty good action on that one. None of these blades have any play or anything, which is cool. And I'm thinking that, opening and closing it a bit, that clip blades action will get a little bit better. But when she pulled this out of the case, I didn't even notice the glue. I just noticed the look of the stag was really good. So I decided that was the one that I wanted. I was trying to be fast because, there's people waiting behind me and everything. And I had been waiting all morning, so I kind of knew what that was like. So I wanted to make sure that I made my decisions as quickly as I could with, seeing everything and making a informed decision on what I actually wanted. Because I was only going to get two knives from the store because I didn't want to wait around, another 3 hours to call my number and everything. So that's what I did. The interesting thing about these 29s is they're run off of 3 back springs, which is nice because, a lot less chance of blade rub. I don't think these blades are rubbing, but the sheep's foot or coping blade and the clip blade look a little close together there. So they may rub a little bit. I haven't really noticed yet. Maybe not. It's hard to tell. So I'm not sure if they're rubbing or not. They might be. But I'm happy that I got a knife that was released in 2019, which was before I was really into the Great Eastern Cutlery knives yet. So, always cool to get an opportunity to get one of the older runs. He did have some 44 gun stocks in the case too. I don't know what the deal with those was. I don't know if they were S knives or what. I was thinking about getting one of those, but I already have a 44 gun stock in ebony. So it was like, well, let's not waste one of my choices on a knife that I already have. Um, he also had a sheep's foot 15 that was in bone, smooth bone. So that was tempting, but I decided not to since I already have a sheep's foot 15. I did see some people got a clip point 15. I think those were gone by the time that I got up to the store, because I would have loved to have one of those as a Barlow collector. So those were my two knives from the store. And then while we're talking about Barlow's real quick, girlfriend went with me, Abigail. She went with me, and her job, because she had also gotten a number. I was 57 and she was 58. Her job was to get us hats, which she did do. She got us both hats. And then I told her, hey, if you want a knife for yourself, get one. But I'm not going to be that guy having her, get me another two knives. Because especially at my first time at the Rendezvous, I don't want to be that guy who brought his, wife or girlfriend along just to, get another two knives. Because it's not that like big of a thing for me. Like I wanted the two knives from the store, and then I wanted to go out and look at the vendors, which I did get two knives from somebody outside, which I'll show here in a minute. But she ended up getting herself a knife, which I was a little bit surprised about. I don't have the tube here because I'm not sure what she did with it. um, this is a 14 sheep's foot Barlow, TC Barlow 14 in saw cut Delrin. And this is an S knife. I think she paid about $100 for this. And I believe these are nickel silver bolsters because it has brass liners. But this is the same run that I have of the bone, but it's in black saw cut Delrin. And you can see on this one, it's got the special assembly 2024. I'll show you the S stamp here. There's an S right there on the tang, on the pen blade. And I think the reason this is an S knife is because the action is not great. Like doesn't really snap open. It just kind of, opens. Then the back spring doesn't do a great job of snapping it back in place. So the action isn't great on it. So I think I almost just cut myself there. So I think that's might be why it's an S knife. But still cool little knife. Black saw cut Delrin S knife. So not super desirable or anything, which is probably good because I don't want people to think that I'm having my girlfriend buy knives for me. um, this was her choice. She wanted this one. She's always looking for a knife that looks like it could be from the 1940s because of her whole like reenacting thing. Um, and I struggle to help her with that because I pretty much just say that any knife made by Great Eastern Cutlery you could pass off as a knife from the 40s, but she doesn't like to listen to me on that. So I don't know if she'll actually carry this or use it or anything, but I guess she wanted one, so she went ahead and bought one. Um, but neat little knife. Probably one of the cheaper knives that was there. Um, and I think she's pretty happy with her decision on getting one of these. Does look pretty good with the saw cut Delrin. Delrin really isn't my thing, just because I like bone and uh, micarta and wood, generally speaking. But I think she made a pretty good choice for it being her first time trying to decide if she wanted to buy a Great Eastern Cutlery knife or not, I guess. But yeah, so that was what she bought from the factory store. She bought us two hats. Mine's blue, her was orange. Which the hats, I didn't think they looked good online when Great Eastern Cutlery released them, and I was a little bit upset actually. I was hoping that at some point they'd release a hat that I considered to be better looking. But then when we were at the rendezvous and we saw some people wearing the hats, I was like, actually, they don't look too bad in person. So she got us two hats, and then she got herself this knife, which is an S knife, and black saw cut Delrin. Um, and I guess she likes it. It's really not my thing, other than the fact that it's a Barlow. But yeah, that's what she ended up picking out. And then two knives that I got from some man outside who was selling knives is I got another Remington Daddy Barlow, which he was selling for $225, which I think is about what I paid for mine new. So I'm not super upset about that or anything. But I wanted to have another one of these because I would like to carry mine. Okay, I got a toothpick here. Let me see if I can just kind of. This is hard. So I got another one of these because I want to carry mine, and I want to keep one nice for like my collection. Because I have actually kind of started getting some knives that I just hold back and keep nice and everything. I suppose that happens to all of us eventually. Um, but I wanted to get another one of these because I want to carry the one that I already have more. And I've carried it a few times, but it's not been carried a whole lot. So my plan for this is basically just to keep um, probably lube it because I think it's got the original oil and stuff on it. So my plan for this is just to oil it, cover it in some mineral oil and just pack it away and just keep it nice while I carry my other one. Um, and that one gets used and everything. So $225 for that, and it came with the little paperwork thing, which I care less about than the knife itself. I wish the paperwork fit in this box. That'd be nice because I need to keep them together. And then the other knife that I got is the 59 Schaefer Farm Whittler, I think it is. Yes, the Schaefer Farm Whittler 59 in the mint chocolate jig bone. And this was released in 2022. I paid $175 for this, which is probably a bit much, but he was right there, and I could just quickly exchange cash for it. So I just went ahead and did that. But this is like a sleeve board whittler kind of, fairly small main blade here. spear blade. Um, about 2 inches long, a little over 2 inches, cutting edge of less than 2 inches. Um, nice little whittler. I probably will carry this a little bit. I don't think it'll probably get carried as much as some of my other knives, but I do like a whittler. I think they're interesting and cool and everything. And this is a split back whittler where two back springs converge into one spot, and both blades contribute to the opening of that main blade. So happy to have a 59. I don't know how much I'll carry it or use it or anything. But, I thought these were cool when they came out, especially in the green bone, because I really like different colored bone. Like, I like when they release cool colors pretty much. But yeah, so bought those from an outside person selling, and then it was raining pretty good. And actually the guy I bought them from was having trouble with his like tarp setup, and some of his knives were getting wet and stuff, or his displays were getting wet and stuff. Um, and it was raining off and on all day Friday, pretty much. Um, but yeah, so those were the knives that I got from the Rendezvous. These two from the store, and my girlfriend picked that one up, the 14. So I don't know if she's gonna get into knife collecting. Probably not, but she's very supportive of me, which is nice. And I think she likes to also have fun, so she just went ahead and bought herself a knife to, enjoy the fun of the Rendezvous. Is pretty much why I think she did it. But who knows? Maybe she'll get into knife collecting. Kind of doubt it. She already has quite a few hobbies, so I kind of doubt she'll get into collecting pocket knives. But who knows? But she's already pretty much agreed to come to the Rendezvous with me next year, so we'll see, I guess. But I'm pretty happy with my um, haul, as they call it, from the Rendezvous, 2024 Rendezvous. Um, I had fun at the Rendezvous. I will say I was a little bit anxious about the whole thing because I had never been before, obviously. So I didn't really talk to anybody or talk a whole lot. I had like one word conversations with a couple of people. um, and I think there was actually somebody who wanted to talk to me, but then he saw that I was like focused on, you know, getting in the factory and trying to get a knife and everything. So he didn't, approach me. And I think basically, like, I need to get better at initiating conversations with people. Um, but I just wasn't there yet. So hopefully next year I'll be better at that when I go. But this was my first like knife event that I've ever really been to. So, I think I did okay for that. I think the biggest step for me was just going for the first time. So I didn't really talk to anybody. I checked out a couple of tables, bought these two knives. I missed the Lynch leather guy, which I would have liked to talk to and maybe buy something from him. And I should have talked to Logan from Knife Thoughts, but I didn't. And simply that was just because at that point it had started raining, during the time that I was buying these knives. It had started raining pretty good, and both my girlfriend and me, or girlfriend and I, if I'm being grammatically correct, were hungry. So we, got the car and headed into town to get lunch. And then we went on our merry way to, enjoy the rest of our little 4-day vacation we took. So we went to like the Drake oil well, which actually, have another knife from that. So at the Drake oil well, they were selling, or they had some of these French Kate knives in ivory acrylic. I guess I'll bust this out real quick. Um, which one of these? Choose this one. If you didn't know this, you can do this with the tubes. You don't need a tube popper, although they were selling some tube poppers. So the lady at the museum, it was funny. These were $150. They're from 2015, and they're just in a basic acrylic, but they are this lady leg knife, the French Kate. Not a super good action on it. It's actually gotten a little bit better. But I think these have been sitting in factory oil since 2015. So I put some mineral oil in it, and that really helped, make it a little bit better. Um, but these were at the Drakewell Museum in the gift shop for $150. So I also picked one of these up because, went in Titusville. The Drakewell is pretty interesting and everything. We didn't stay for super long because, again, we went, it wasn't raining, and then it started raining. And then we just decided to head out, and we went to Oil City. And what did we do in Oil City? I don't remember what we did in Oil City, but we went to Oil City, and then we spent the night in Indiana, Pennsylvania, I think. We ate at an Eaton Park, which I didn't know existed anymore because the one in Lancaster went out of business in like 2008 or something like that. Um, so we did that. Um, and then we headed home today. And I'm doing this at Saturday night at like, I don't know, 11 o'clock, midnight, something like that. And I'll probably post this to go live tomorrow just to make it topical for the rendezvous. But along the way, we stopped at a whole bunch of antique places and we had fun and everything. And I actually picked up a few knives at the antique places and some other cool stuff. And I have a fair few other knives that I need to do videos on still. So that being said, I won't probably be buying any knives real soon, just because I spent a whole bunch at the rendezvous and I should be financially responsible for a little bit and not spend a bunch of money on pocket knives. Um, but yeah, I'm excited for next year, the rendezvous after this year. Um, and next year, if you guys know what I look like, please approach me, even if I seem anxious and stuff, because the only way that I'm going to start a conversation, well, I shouldn't say that. I'm going to try to get better at initiating conversations. But if you want to talk to me, the best way to do that is probably approach me and just say, hey, and, maybe introduce yourself or something, like people do in conversations. Because I'm up to talk. I don't know. I was like blinders on walking towards the door to go inside and sit down and wait for 3 hours. So, I would like to talk to you guys. I don't know. I was anxious about the whole thing because I didn't exactly know how it worked. Now that I have a little bit better idea of how the rendezvous works and everything, hopefully next year I'll be a little bit less anxious about it, maybe hang out outside a little bit more, um, stuff like that. But anyway, I've already talked to her, my girlfriend, about being a little more prepared next year, maybe bringing like a cooler with some drinks and snacks and stuff, and just sitting and hanging out for a little while, and maybe stay longer on Friday. I don't know if I'll ever do both days. Maybe someday, but probably not next year. Just because, sitting around all day, 2 days in a row for some pocket knives. I love pocket knives, but there's other stuff to do. And, when I have off work, I really like to enjoy it as much as I possibly can. And I like to have her enjoy her time off and our time together as well. And she did enjoy the few hours that we spent at the factory, at the Great Eastern Cutlery factory. But I don't necessarily think that she would have a fun time spending 2 days at the factory, like a lot of people do. Um, but anyway, that's going to be it for this video. I just wanted to do a little video on what I got at the rendezvous, kind of talk about the rendezvous a little bit. It was super cool. I got to see Bill Howard. I didn't didn't dare approach him to try to start a conversation with him, but I love his pocket knives, so it was cool to see him there. I saw Randy Bell. I jokingly tell my girlfriend that Randy Bell's what I'm gonna look like when I'm older, except for he's shaved. Last time I saw a picture of him, he had a beard. Um, but I jokingly told her that I'm gonna look like Randy when I'm older. Um, Everybody at the factory, like all of Bill's employees, seem awesome. I don't remember any of their names. The lady calling out the numbers was very friendly. Um, However, I don't remember her name. My girlfriend would remember her name, but she's asleep right now, so I can't ask her. Um, but yeah, that really will be it for this video. I will see you guys in the next one, and I hope you have a good day.